All right, great evening, Wednesday evening, you all. How are you doing tonight? I'm Dr. Jesse Roberts. This is Join or Die. Sorry for my lounging, my bad posture. I'm still suffering from a vestibular neuritis, which is where my inner ear got attacked by a virus. And if I sit up straight with great posture, I will look really good doing it, but I will also feel like I want to die. It's just been a hell of a week. We are hell of the last month when it comes to these health stuff going on. I was like suffering from this thing and then like having horrible headaches and stuff. So I'm like eating ibuprofen and now my just have my abdominal pain now from like just destroying myself with Motrin. I'm looking at my desk right now. It's an absolute mess. I'm a historian, a writer, podcaster, content creator, etc. And as any good historian should, you should see my desk right now. But I got notebooks upon notebooks upon notebooks and actual books, and then I got my Zettelkasten here. I have 3 boxes for my Zettelkasten. If you don't know what that is, look it up. It's a filing system for note cards. It's really cool, actually. If you're interested in something about this, check out this book here. This has been awesome. I've been dabbling in this for a while with the Zettelkasten thing, but this book is great. He has a YouTube channel too. Check it out. As a writer and researcher, it's just a great way. It's like a way, if you want to remember most of what you ever read much quicker, and have a way to consistently recall information, check out that. It's called the Antoinette Zettelkasten. Zettelkastn. It's a little complex, but it's very cool. So, I finished my dissertation just May 10th was my dissertation defense, and I have, I'm like many of my generation. I have ADD, and it's like this thing where I was usually terrible at organization, and it's like, you know what, I need to get better about this on my research. So this is a system I have where all my research is in one place. Everything I've ever researched in any topic area, from like economics, science, history, you name it, goes into this filing system, and it's all numbered and so you have the cards you take notes on when you're reading. You transfer those to like main idea cards. Then you have an index. So it's just a great way to, if you read a lot, I read like, I don't even know. Feel like I read like a dozen books a week, but I don't sit there reading cover to cover, right? I read what I need out of it. And like this system, I've read so many books, it helps me just retain it all. Very cool system. That's not what you're here to talk about though. So sorry, I'm just going off on a tangent. It's a very rainy night out there. Last night, so I'm in Michigan, we got thunderstorms with up to 70-mile-per-hour winds. I don't have a basement, and in Michigan, most houses on foundations have basements. I don't have that, so it can be kind of terrifying when things like that happen. I actually last summer we had tornadoes just right up the road from us, a really bad one, and that was pretty terrifying. To be in a building that doesn't have any, I'm not even on a foundation, just sitting there on the ground. It's pretty scary. So yesterday was interesting with those storms, and then now it's raining again. It's been raining off and on all day. It's quite nice. You can probably hear it. The nice patter of the rain. It'll probably stop soon. So last night I had kind of went into talking about, I kind of started to talk about Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. joining Trump's team. This is something I want you all. So if you are listening to this and you're sticking this out, you're probably like me, where you're sick of both sides of the aisle. You're sick of the Republicans. You're sick of the Democrats. You just want good libertarian values in this country. You want the government to stay the F out of things, mind their own business, stop spending our money, end the wars. I don't need to elect people to tell me what to do. I don't need to elect a babysitter. So if you're like me, I think that we can look at this as a time in our country where we're moving in the right direction in so many ways. 2 days ago, I posted a video and I said, why does it seem like the rest of the world's becoming so much more authoritarian? And they are. If you look at Europe, especially the Western world, look at what's going on in places like Brazil and onward, you're seeing speech is constantly under attack. You see it in Australia, Canada, the UK. You see it in all of mainland, all of the European continent. You're seeing this all over the place. And it's places that were formerly like, whoa, these are the bastions of democracy and Western values and blah, 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 blah. Well, they'll say, well, no, we approve of the right to free expression, just not if it involves hate speech. Well, what's hate speech? Well, hate speech is whatever the almighty government in the sky says hate speech is. Sorry, I'm trying to maneuver some stuff around here. Working on several books right now, articles, writing. I do copywriting to pay the bills, so it's like this type of thing where it's like my desk is just inundated with different writing projects. I love it, but it's also and if I were to turn the camera the other way, my desk is a mini museum here of just artifacts and pictures and little. You can probably see behind me. This got knocked over by my cats. These are little. Look at that. They're little World War II helmets. They're actual M1 combat helmets. This is from the Marine Corps. Nerding out. I have one over there. That's airborne. If you're seeing that, you're like, what the hell is that thing? Yeah. So yeah, I'm a collector of things as a historian. My office is jam full of my little artifacts in my museum, and my desk is inundated with stuff. It's quite, if you could see it, it's quite miraculous that I fit as much stuff up here as I do. My wall is covered with pictures, books all around me. Bookshelf behind the flag. It's crazy in here. Bookshelf behind me. My degrees. It's madness. Madness. This is why my wife and I share this office. She's a medical student, and so we both jam in this little tiny room together, and I blaze away doing my writing and research. And I'm pretty sure that I have about pushed her out of here with all my stuff, and I have file boxes full of stuff. Anyways, I think that we are moving. Like I said, we're moving to this more authoritarian type thing. Why is this happening? But I also think in the United States of America, we're moving in the right direction. My reasoning for this is, I think that we're finally looking at the tail end of our political parties. I think that the Democrats and the Republicans are on the way out. What that means is, I don't think that they're necessarily going to stop existing in the near future, but I do think that they're going to be less relevant because of, I wrote a Substack article today kind of briefly covering this, while thinking about what RFK, Trump, and Tulsi Gabbard are. What is that? They're not Republicans and they're not Democrats. They're like this new trio of certainly like America First, certainly more populist, more, we got people that are pushing back against war and Tulsi Gabbard, people that are pushing back against Big Pharma and RFK. Trump's obviously out there. So listen, I'm a staunch libertarian. So what that means is I'm a perfectionist, right? Like most libertarians are. And sometimes it's annoying how like libertarians can be perfectionists to the degree where it's like, well, they did one thing wrong. They're not cut out to, they weren't absolutely perfect. They weren't angels. And the danger with that type of thinking is sometimes you're as bad as the Democrats, right? Where in a way where Democrats live in a fantasy world, right? Like, your Democrat friends, you talk to them, they have a utopian vision for the country, and the future, which is just fantasy world, la la land stuff. And libertarians do too. So I'm trying to be realistic. And Trump is far from perfect. And I feel like the rhetoric coming from him is somewhat toned down. I understand why. I mean, you would probably feel the same way if you, thing went past your head. And I think you got the message. I do. But what I think is fascinating is you have a Kennedy, a lifelong Democrat in Tulsi Gabbard, and you have a Kennedy who is quite literally Democratic Party royalty, okay, dating back forever. 20th century on. I mean, Kennedys have been they're an institution in politics. And you have a Kennedy leaving the Democrats to go to the Republican side. Now, I don't think RFK is becoming a Republican. I don't think Tulsi Gabbard is becoming a Republican. I think this is the start of something new because the Republicans are irrelevant. That's what I think. I think Republicans are irrelevant. When I say that, I don't mean conservatives are irrelevant. Okay, don't get upset about that. I think the Republican Party as an entity is no longer important in any way. I don't think that having the backing of the Republican Party really matters when it comes to political decisions. I don't think people voting for Trump in this election are doing so because they're Republicans. I don't. I think they're people that are just fed up with whatever the hell this current thing is. That's what I think. There are people out there that are like, I'm a Republican, I vote for the Republican candidate. But if you notice, all of the old guard Republicans from, let's say, like the George H.W. Bush years, so you're talking like the neoconservatives, like Dick Cheney, Bill Kristol, what the hell's, I have their names, I can't think of it off the Robert Kagan, John Bolton, these guys, they've all, look at Paul Ryan, Mitt Romney, they have completely walked over to the Democrat side, and they believe in the same stuff, okay? They agree on everything. The neoconservatives have completely inundated the Democrats. And so I think the more like old guard Republicans are completely irrelevant. They're just uniparty. And I think people are just like, they're done with them. Like Mitch McConnell, these people. And I think that that's a good, we're moving in a direction where it's finally time to hit the reset button on this joke, because there's not, you'll have the Republican Party. Okay. That's just like a bunch of people that nobody cares about. Who talks about the Republican Party? What media talks about the Republicans? Nobody. Who talks about them? They don't even talk about them in their state. The Michigan GOP had their convention last weekend, and I didn't even know about it. I didn't even know it was a thing. Not a peep. Until today, I popped upon it completely by accident on someone wrote a Substack article. They cover Michigan politics. So this is interesting. I clicked on it. I'm like, oh, wait, there was a Michigan GOP convention in Flint. I didn't know that was a thing. Because nobody cares. Because the media doesn't cover Republicans. They cover Trump. And Trump is, notice they rarely, they don't disparage the Republicans anymore like they used to with Obama and stuff. Like Obama, like everything was the Republicans' fault. The Republicans. John Boehner and all that stuff. I think those days, John Boehner and Obama, they really got along. Like that stuff is over. Like it's all Trump. Even look at what happened with the bipartisan border bill that got crushed. Well, whose fault was that? It was Trump. They blamed Trump. Trump wasn't even in office. So I think that the Republican Party is an irrelevant relic. And that's a good thing, because the Republican Party is a joke. I don't think conservatives are jokes. Okay, that's not my point. I think the Republican Party as representation for the conservatives are a joke. They do nothing. They don't do anything pragmatic for their voters. They just whine and complain and act like they have a solution, vote for me. And I will call out the crazy when I see it. Isn't that what you want? And your Republican politicians, that's what you get if you vote for the Republicans. Now, if you vote for the Democrats, you get active destruction, war, debt. You get your constitutional rights impeded. You are infringed. You get the rise of authoritarianism. You get wokeism. You get destruction, which is why the Republican Party is actually preferable, because they're less destructive. But both sides piss money away like nobody's business. Look at Mitch McConnell, who will go up there and say America first is absurd. We need to give more money to Ukraine. Our foreign interests are more important. So you're talking about this time period where Trump, RFK, and Tulsi Gabbard can come together as a triumvirate, like with their rings of power, like Captain Planet or something. And they're going to, put those rings together, and we're forming what? Tulsi Gabbard's like, I'm not Republican. RFK ain't a Republican. He's supporting Trump. Tulsi Gabbard is jumping aboard the MAGA train, apparently. So you're talking about or what is it now? It's Keep America Great. It's the signs I see now, which is kind of a weird thing. I was driving along, with my wife in the car, and I said, have you noticed all the signs say Keep America Great? Isn't that kind of weird? Because America really kind of went downhill. Like, Trump didn't do what he said he was going to do. America didn't become really great. And then now we're saying, I just think that's kind of a weird way to phrase it. That's my personal opinion. But yeah, so we're at this point now where this team came together and they're able to become, what is it? Who knows? But I think this is and you're seeing more of people that are latched onto this movement are becoming they're gaining political positions in our country and state and federal level, and that's freaking it's changing the dynamic of everything. Pretty soon Mitch McConnell will be irrelevant. I mean, he's already basically irrelevant, but man, wait till he's really irrelevant. Bye. Speaking of Captain America or Captain Planet, do you remember Captain Planet when you were a kid? It was like the ultimate leftist propaganda show. In case you don't know what it was like these kids had these rings, and they would go around and they would see some bad guys yeah, I love deforestation, he would love, drive through and just deforest some area and pollute it because he just loved polluting and stuff. And the kids would be like, you know what? They put their rings together, and they would summon a superhero called Captain Planet, and he would show up and just give you some self-righteous condescending lecture about why you're a piece of crap. And that's how how the bad guys would just crumble. And it's oh man, this is where the propaganda began. And it was always the bad guys were always we just like to pollute things, trash, yeah, it's one of those type of things. But that's beside the point. I guess Trump, I wouldn't say, is Captain Planet. RFK would be Captain Planet. He would be Captain Planet. Tulsi Gabbard used to probably be on that train too. I know that I was looking at her policy positions from 2019, and Tulsi Gabbard was pretty hardcore when it came to the Democratic policy positions. That's what kind of freaks me out just a teeny bit, because I've always liked her. I'm trying to see. Here we go. I was looking at this earlier. I like her. She's an attractive woman. She's got good stances on war. I think she's, she thinks our stupid proxy wars, we need to get out of them and stop funneling money to whatever. Now, this article I was reading was from 2019. I was like, what did Tulsi Gabbard run on in 2019? In case you don't remember, Tulsi Gabbard was a rising superstar in the Democratic Party, And in 2016, she supported Bernie Sanders over Hillary Clinton. And that just that sparked the decline of Tulsi Gabbard as a rock star in the party. And she was going to be his VP candidate, I believe, if he were to run, and if he got the nominee. And they probably would have won, honestly. They probably would have, in 2016, they probably would have beat Trump. But instead they ran with another neocon relic of the olden days in Hillary Clinton. They like their old Democratic relics, don't they? So where was I going with this? Oh, her policy position. So like, what she run? So 2019. So then in 2019, she ran for the presidency. She was a congresswoman until 2021. She ran from Hawaii. She ran for the presidency in 2019, and she destroyed Kamala Harris on the stage in a debate. It quite literally ended Kamala Harris's run for the presidency. And when Kamala Harris became the candidate again, nobody talked about that. They said no. There was no mention of the ass kicking she took at the hands of Tulsi Gabbard. It was quite funny. Now, but what did Tulsi Gabbard run on in 2019? You can do this about all the candidates, Kamala Harris included. Kamala Harris, her policy positions were all very extreme in 2019, but this is Tulsi Gabbard's 2019 policy positions. So this is from PBS News. There she is, Tulsi Gabbard. She is a 4-term congresswoman, a soldier who served in Iraq, and a former U.S. Senate aide and native Pacific Islander. Her resume is a stack of firsts. She is the youngest person ever elected to Hawaii State Legislature, the first Hindu in Congress. She's American Samoan. Okay, we got to get all the identity politics in there. So yeah, she nominated Bernie Sanders for president, which ruined her chances with the Democratic Party. Now, here we go. So in 2019, she stood for banning fracking completely, mandating the end of fossil fuels by 2050, and that was her stance when it came to climate change. Which, look at this, the plan would require electrical utilities to use 80% renewable resources by 2027 and 100% by 2035. That's basically like Joe Biden's plans, which is extremist bullcrap. Like, this is my rant again about this issue. When it comes to renewable, so in case you're not aware, our government gets first dibs on any new patents or any new inventions that come to fruition because of, after World War II, they were afraid like some guy would invent an atomic bomb in his garage or something, a doomsday device. So they have, well, we need, because our military industrial complex is king in this country. So they said we need to have first dibs on any new inventions that come out. So basically, notice what innovation was like before World War II and what it became after. Okay, mind you, computers were already invented before World War II. They just became more sophisticated as time went on. But we had television before the war. We had telephones. We had wireless tech. I mean, we had all this technology that was like, and then things just kind of seemed like they stagnated, didn't they? Like, yes, we have this glowing rectangle that we all live on, but this is as much of a, like a government spying device as it is a thing for you to enjoy and, conduct your entire life on. But in like the internet, same thing. It's Department of Defense type stuff. But so, look at how cars, look at like Elon Musk. Okay, Elon Musk can build these beautiful Teslas and they only run for a limited time because the batteries aren't that good. And you would think that by 2024, because we had the technology before that to have a battery that was rechargeable and much smaller and wouldn't require you to plug it in your house and burn more fossil fuels. But they're not giving people the opportunity to really come up with an alternative fuel source unless it goes through them first. So if you think for 2 seconds that we have not had the answers to the fossil fuel problem, you're kidding yourself. Just like climate change. Like, I think that wholeheartedly. Do you think we don't have technology that could scrub CO2 if it was really that? Like, climate change is a very convenient political issue for them. They can use it to They can use it to tax the crap out of people. They can use it to control what you do. They can use it as a platform when it comes to elections. They can use it to fearmonger. They can do everything. They can do all this crazy stuff with it. Like climate change is politically convenient for the left. So I think like, you know, this idea like, oh, we're going to be off fossil fuels by 20. Do you think that wind and solar are the only things that people have discovered? It's not true. Taking these off. Here's a little crazy. It's not, because they've, you know, there's all kinds of crazy things that you don't even know exist. And you can look this up. There's plenty of information about what happened with patents and things like that. So the only way that they'll be able to find an alternative is if it's some subsidized program, probably, that's going to eat up a bunch of money and give a bunch of people jobs, or they do nothing and create more bureaucrats and more government agencies and stuff like that. It's stupid. It's like this idea that we're going to ban fossil fuels by 2037 or whatever. Yeah, okay, good luck. You're not even actively doing anything, and sorry, your like outdated, crappy technology is not going to change a thing. Well, I got it. We'll put Tesla plugs in every gas station from here to Omaha. Okay, well, what do Tesla charging stations run on, idiots? Oh, that's right, they run on fuel. Yeah, that's right. Dummies. Okay, so education. So yeah, look at this. 0 emissions in cars by 2050. End all subsidies and tax breaks for fossil fuels. Ban fracking. Now she backs Vermont Sanders' proposal on education. She wants to eliminate higher education tuition, make community college tuition free for all Americans, 4-year public colleges tuition free for students. I mean, except for those that make $125,000 or more. So the thing with this is, college isn't for everybody. It shouldn't be for everybody. Okay, because it's like stupid if we just pay for everybody to go to college and everybody gets a worthless degree. It's no better than a high school diploma. Doesn't qualify you for much of anything unless you're getting a degree in something very specific like engineering or whatever. What needs to happen is college just needs to be more affordable, and actually it needs to be held accountable and give you skills that actually translate to something in real life. They don't, though. And there's no push to do that. Instead, we'll just eliminate student debt. That's going to solve the problem. Well, look at how much more expensive college has become since we started subsidizing it. It's absurd. My dissertation advisor was telling me that when he got his PhD in like the 80s, he had to take like 1 grad school credit a freaking semester. Like, I wouldn't even have been able to stay in school if I took less than, like, you know, I think I had to take like at least like 8 credits or something. I had to be enrolled at least half time to get any aid for my PhD. And it's like, man, imagine what it would have been like if my whole program if I had to, like, you know, it was like an extra like 20 credits instead of an extra 75 or whatever it was on top of my master's degree, which was 30. Like I had to do like an additional, like, just an obscene amount of school to get to where I am. And I'm in, you know, and then of course it costs lots of money to go to school. So they need to get rid of the federal Department of Education, and they need to cut back on all those loans and stuff, and make the schools accountable. Hey, if your degree is not worthless or not worth anything, you should be able to get your money back. Oh, look how quick these schools would change their tune then. All right, so I just think that whatever about that. Now we got, okay, so this was her other position on banning assault weapons and require universal background checks. Blah, 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 blah. What's an assault weapon? Have you ever tried to buy a gun? Because you do a background check when you try to buy a gun. Go and try to buy a gun. Try to buy a gun, you'll spend your whole freaking day at the gun store. The gun show loophole. Okay, well, Second Amendment, so piss off. Healthcare, create Medicare for all. Okay, it was stupid. She co-sponsored a bill to create a government-run system that provide healthcare for all residents of the United States. The Expanded and Improved Medicare for All Act. Okay, just before you even think about this, you do understand that we already spend more money on our government healthcare programs than most countries in the world do, and it eats up a massive portion of our spending. Protect abortion rights, ban discrimination based on sexual preference. I don't care about that. Withdraw from Afghanistan and Syria, and end U.S. support for. So these I agree with. You know, withdraw from Afghanistan and Syria, which happened, and then end U.S. support for Saudi Arabia, or for the Saudi-led conflict in Yemen, which has been going on forever, and has been one of the bloodiest proxy wars we've ever funded in our history. It's evil and needs to end. I don't care what the reasoning is for it. So that was Tulsi Gabbard. So it's like, you have to be kind of careful about these people. And we know RFK. He's been pretty extreme on lots of things like climate. He is not a gun rights supporting guy. He once said that if you deny climate change, like if you're like a climate scientist or something that denies climate change, you deserve to get locked up. I mean, they're pretty ardent Democrats. But I think what you're seeing now is maybe it shouldn't just be a tribal issue where like we all align on thing in this party, and in this party we all align on thing. So you have two choices. What if you have a third choice that's kind of a mix of all these, and they can actually win elections? But I think we, like you and I think we're winning. I think that this is a good sign. I think this is good. I think people are starting to buy in to how much the establishment Democrats suck, how much the establishment Republicans suck. And if they're going to do everything they can to win this election, it's going to be sheer desperation. You wait. It's going to be like everything they can possibly do to pull this W off, they're going to do it. And it's probably going to be there's a good chance that they'll pull off a win through whatever means necessary. But I have a feeling that, like, you know, I guarantee you, if the election was today and there wasn't anything shenanigans wise, she would just get completely annihilated in the election. Wouldn't even be close. Not even close at all. But I still think that this is a good sign that, like, this track the history of the moment we're at now, and people are just completely done. They're done. Aside from the people that are dogmatic followers of their Democrat Party religion, most normal people are just fed up with the wars and the spending and the inflation and in the this idea that we work for the government. That's what it's like. The government works for you. This is absurd. It needs to end. So, there was a few other things I wanted to jump, but I'm just saying, when it comes to this, I think that we're moving into an era where this establishment stuff, where it's just all tribalist politics, is no longer going to just carry on forever. It can't. This is not healthy. We've been here before. We've had this type of tension around politics. Look at the 1960s, 1968. DNC specifically was at this time where America was extremely divided. It was so divisive that it probably compared somewhat to how we are now. The Vietnam War, you had all types of backlash to the Johnson administration with their welfare state, all this kind of stuff. So, excuse me. I need that coffee to keep me going. I'm not sleeping lately. It's like I could go to bed, or I could just do this because this is more fun. Ah, crap. Where's my tabs here? Oh man, what happened to my tabs, yo? Oh, I'm on the wrong page. Okay, let me try this. Okay, so I think that's a good sign. I think we're moving in the right direction. And part of it is interesting, as I've noticed that media is turning somewhat on Kamala Harris because it's pathetic. Even the media is like, okay, like at some point you're going to have an honest, open interview with us. You're going to have to actually talk to us. And what do? Well, she'll do it as long as, wrong tab, I do that all the time. As long as her support animal, Tim Walz, is there. CNN country, I mean, it's Scott Jennings. I think he's like the Republican analyst for CNN, but he's pretty good. But he does bring up a good point that there's a, extreme lack of confidence for Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris to need an emotional support animal in her running mate for her first campaign interview since becoming the nominee. The VP will be accompanied by Governor Tim Walz. Of course she will. Weak sauce for Kamala Harris to demand an emotional support animal for her first interview. Shows an extreme lack of confidence for a Thursday night event on CNN. Jennings posted along with the clip of his interview. I'm plugging in my headphones here. Hang on so I can listen to it with you. Clip of his interview on the matter with CNN host Anderson Cooper. Right, let's watch Anderson Cooper. Where did it go?
Is the line now going to be, well, why isn't she doing it by herself?
Yeah, I do think people are going to bring that up. Like, I have great confidence in Dana and CNN to do this. I think it's incredibly weak sauce to show up with your running mate. The fact that they don't have enough confidence in her to let her sit herself, the actual top of the ticket, and do a single interview. In fact, I think the hand-wringing and the gyrations over this over the last month show a troubling lack of confidence in her political ability, which also makes you wonder as a voter, well, what kind of president would you be if this kind of a small-time decision, can we do an interview or not, what does that look like for your decision-making process, so on? So, yes, I think Republicans are going to think it's pretty weak to show up with effectively someone to take up half the time.
No, because it is, because that's what this is. So if you watch Kamala Harris do anything, speaking at all, off script, she tries to come across as like she's very, very articulate, and she tries to come off as very like, just, what's the word I'm looking for? Like this sense of just like it's almost like it's like a sense of arrogance where you want to sound like as pompous as you can and just like as intellectual, and she'll say things, she'll just say nonsense, and it'll be empty. There'll be no substance to it at all. Like you'll listen to her talk and you'll be like, okay, she didn't even say anything. She's good at that. She's good at just being wordy to be wordy with giving you nothing. And that's what this will be. Tim Walz will be the guy that's there to actually be her, like you said, that's a good way to put it, her emotional support animal. He'll be there to back her up when it comes to basically any hardball questions. And I grossly dislike Tim Walz. I just do. I don't know what it is. Well, before I even knew he was going to be the VP nominee, I just didn't like him. I can sense it on him. He seems like somebody who's a complete D-bag in real life. And the whole like fake, I wish he was my dad thing is really weird. Like it's so cringe. And he's not, he does this thing where he'll go, mind your own damn business. J.D. Vance needs to mind his own damn business. Damn. I say damn because I'm a normal person. I'm a normal working class dude, and I say words like that. It's so cringy, dude. It's so fake. That's why he does it. He wants to seem like, look how real I am. I say damn a lot. Wow, you're just like us, dude. You're just like us. Just a Midwestern guy who likes to freaking lock people in their houses and shoot people with paintball guns when they disobey. But you're right. They, you do have that mouth of a sailor. It makes you just like me. But it's so effing embarrassing that she has to, like, there's a good chance that she'll win this election. Do I think it's in the realm of more likely than Trump winning the election? I don't. I think Trump will likely win, but there's still a good chance that she will win. And she will have won an election if it's not just completely fraudulent, let's say, that she will have won an election based off nothing. She's a nothing candidate. She's just like Biden was. Biden came out with no policy positions, really, no hard stance on anything. He didn't do campaign stops. He didn't do speeches. He was in a basement. So you were voting for a non-existent candidate. That it's akin to me going, and behind door 2 is your Democratic nominee. And if you vote for her, we'll open mystery door 2 and show you who you're, it's like, that's what it's like. Because they're not giving you, you're voting for a nothing. You're voting for a figurehead. And it's very dangerous to vote for somebody when you don't know what their policy positions are for a few reasons. Not only is it because you should know what they're going to do, but also there should be accountability for when they don't do what they say they're going to do. Or they're doing things that they said they weren't going to do. Like, that's part of the process. Being able to hold them accountable. And if you don't show up with any policy, you can do it. She can do whatever she wants, and nobody. But well, you said you weren't gonna, like. I've said this before on my videos, but I talked to somebody back during 2020. I was talking about Biden. I used to manage pet stores for years, and I was talking to somebody at a pet store, and I was like, she was an ardent Biden supporter, of course, and I was like, why do you support him? Like, you don't even know what his policy positions are. What is it about him that you're going to support? And she literally said to me, well, sometimes you just have to vote for somebody to find out what their policy positions are. It's like, oh, this is a cult. This is that's what this is. This is a dogmatic religion where you will vote for the candidate no matter who it is. They don't have to say anything. Especially if it's going up against Trump. Like, people said this during the last election. They would say things like, I don't care if Joe Biden's got skeletons of humans in his closet. I'm voting. He's better than Trump. Like, people really, really, really have this mental disorder when it comes to Trump, and they will vote for anybody over him. And I think that this whole thing with Walz showing up to actually be her guard dog is crazy. But it's because she cannot give an interview off the cuff. Sometimes they'll sit down, have interviews with her, they'll talk to her, and you can just see the panic. And I think that's what it is. I think she's a very stressful person to work for. She panics a lot. She has to be a perfectionist about things, and she can't. Sometimes if you get that thing where you're in a certain situation, like, let's say I had to interview for a professorship for a job or something, or whatever, a writing job, whatever. Like a full-time position. I really wanted it. And I sit down and I'm panicking and they're asking me questions. It's very easy to, like, just talk just to get just because you're so blinded by your panic. And then if you start to say dumb things, oh, it's all downhill from there. All downhill. I knew a guy that he went to wanted to get a master's degree, or a physician's assistant degree, which is a master's degree. So basically it's like a medical school. It's a 2-year medical school. You work under a doctor. And he was like, he's older. He's like, he's like, he wanted to go to med school, but he was too old. So he decided to go to PA school instead. And he showed up for his PA school interview after going back to school to get all his prereqs done to get into this thing. And it was like, he said he sat down with these 2 women that were interviewing him, like one of the only guys that was allowed to even interview for this thing. And the lady said, why are you doing PA school over medical school? And he said, I think I'm just too old to go to medical school. And it was like, oh no, that was the dumbest thing I could have said. And then he said the whole interview was just a disaster after that. And that's what Kamala Harris does. She says something stupid, and then thereafter she's probably like panicking, and and this Tim Walz thing is pathetic, that he's going to sit there and back her up. Shows what a joke they are. They're not sincere people. And this guy is, he's probably going to talk over, if Kamala's coming in with something stupid, I'm sure she'll tag him in, and he'll come in and he'll save the day. He's just like you and me, though. He's a populist, did you know? He's a folksy country boy. Joke. But I think that I'm trying to pull my notes here, see what else I had on the docket. But I think that it's pathetic. But the media is kind of turning on her, right? I think that's interesting. I'm trying to find. I had another article. What did I do with it? Oh, I thought this was funny. All right, here, I'll show you this one next. So yeah, I think it's interesting. The media seems to be turning on her. But even the Washington Post had an article here, and this was interesting, that the Washington Post is like the ultimate leftist rag, dude. It's owned by Jeff Bezos. It's just completely one-sided. And I promise you, everybody that works there wants one candidate to win, and the name of that candidate is not Donald Trump. So this is an article from the Washington Post. The real reason Kamala Harris needs media scrutiny. Okay. And it's by, let's see who this by is Jason Willick. You can go back and read this if you want. I'll even scroll through it slowly. You can, ew, look at this. Why am I getting ads for Royal? What? Royal Canin's $100 a bag. Royal Canin is complete another crap food, by the way. Sorry. I used to work in pet supplies forever, so I'm a bit of a pet nutritionist, and my wife is too. So we do a pet nutrition show together. If you ever watch it, it's called Healing Your Pet. It's on Rumble, YouTube, anywhere you get your podcasts. But we both have years of experience doing that, so I see that, and it's like, oh well, that's just crap food. Anyways, I'll continue my scrolling, so you guys can, if you want to read it, here you go. I think I get like a one-off because it was through a link on X. But this person is basically saying, like I said earlier, that the problem with Kamala Harris coming out with no policy positions really at all, and not really, you don't know anything about her, is that she, like I said, she can do whatever she freaking wants. And the media is like catching on to like how BS this whole campaign is, but they'll still want her to win because they hate Trump so much. But then again, Trump is so good for ratings. So anyways, what did I do with that link? I hope you guys are all having just a wonderful night. Kids went back to school today, so life's back to chaos. Is this the right one? All right, this is funny. I thought this was interesting. Like I said earlier, okay. So I was talking earlier about how I think political parties are dissolving, and I think that the neocons have taken over or really infiltrated the Democratic Party. They're all one and the same now. And Exhibit A is this article right here that says, more than 200 former Republican presidential staffers signed open letter endorsing Harris over Trump. Let me look around the room to see where the people are that care. Oh, I don't see anybody. Oh no. You mean Mitt Romney's staff members don't approve of Trump? Oh. But Mitt Romney, he was so good about everything. He did beat Obama in one debate. What a joke. What a joke that guy is. What a freaking traitor to his country, dude. All right, so 200 former Republican presidential staffers. Okay, so it is. Trump is simply untenable and will hurt real everyday people. 238 people who worked for George H.W. Bush. Look at the list of people on this thing. George W. Bush, John McCain, and Mitt Romney. So if you see staff members of those people endorsing a candidate, you just automatically run the opposite direction. I mean, John McCain's staff doesn't think that I should vote for Trump? You mean that George W. Bush, who's completely just nowhere to be seen, he was supposed to be the special guest at or one of the potential special guests at the DNC, though. That would have really pumped me up to see W show up. Maybe he'll fly in. Mission accomplished. But, ooh. Sorry, I think like I get paranoid. I see stuff out the window, especially when I have the window open. Creeps me out. A lot of neighborhood cats squawking around out here. It kind of gets creepy sometimes. There's something out there. This may be the last video. I'm just kidding. So, yeah. So it's fascinating how things have meshed. How the neoconservatives are now in the same thing, the one and the same with the Democratic Party. And if you really think about it, they've all gone to the same side. They stand for the same things. They are military industrial complex all the way, foreign intervention, proxy wars, death and killing, big government spending. I mean, they're the same thing. The neocons have completely infiltrated the Democratic Party, and the Democratic Party abides by their viewpoints, and the Democratic Party is flipped on everything they used to stand for. They used to be the party of free speech. They used to be against big pharma. They used to be against big business. They used to be against war. They used to be you name it, and they stand for they're the complete opposite on all those positions. You may argue the Republicans are the same, but they're not. The conservatives are, because I'm telling you, the Republican Party is about to become an irrelevant relic. It is about to be time for something new. That's my take. That's my hot take for the day. I think it's coming. But do you think that anybody is going to read that? Imagine if you're on the fence about anything and you're like, I don't know who to vote for, guys. I really don't. And somebody goes, hey, did you see this thing, this letter? It was signed. This letter here was signed by 238 former Republicans saying don't. Oh, who were they? Were they like good Republicans? Oh yeah, it was Mitt Romney's staff member and John McCain and George W. Bush, George H.W. Bush. Hate to be the bearer of bad news, but do you know who George H.W. Bush and George W. Bush's staff members were? What's that thing that we got involved in and it basically like bankrupted our country and got millions of people killed? Wasn't there like some wars that we went into that we got lied into because of the neocons? Oh, that's right. It's like I love that Robert Kagan, you know, this he's like the ultimate, one of the ultimate neocons is Trump's an existential threat. It's like who listens to you? Who gives you airtime on anything? Anybody that freaking condoned what happened back in like 2003 and on, like the fact that there's still a thing is absurd. Like I saw somebody said Paul Ryan is on like the board of directors for Fox News. And I was like, Paul Ryan's a thing still? That guy's like the ultimate D-bag. Like what? Who cares what that guy thinks? But oh no, this letter, this is really going to turn people off. I'm sure that the centrists and the moderates are going to see that George W. Bush's former staff said don't vote for Trump. So they're going to be like, I can't do it, guys. George W. Bush's press secretary said, I can't do it. It's like, it's amazing to me how they're wrong about everything. Everything. And everything in the world, they tell you that we need to police misinformation because otherwise misinformation is it's a threat. It's a threat to everything. It's a threat to your safety. Think about everything that was labeled misinformation. Or think about everything you talked about that if you went to the opposite viewpoint of what they had stood for, that would have been misinformation. What about that thingy that you just sticky in your arm about that virus? What about the virus origin itself? What about weapons of mass destruction? What about, I don't know, what about government censorship? What about the Hunter Biden laptop story? What about Russia collusion? What about the impeachment? What about January? What about the Whitmer kidnapping thing? Like, you name it. and the opposing opinion all would have been labeled misinformation and all ended up being right. And you're talking about people that signed a letter where they were all 100% incorrect about some of the most catastrophic decisions they've ever made in their lives in the history of this country. But they think Trump's a threat. Do they not see where we are in history? Do they not see what we've become in the United States of America? Like, legitimately. Thank you for getting us here. There's a reason why Trump's even a thing, and it's because of people like you all. It's the complete rejection of you. The complete rejection of everything that you did to this country and did to the world. It's a joke. Who cares? I don't want to rail on this too much, but this is a article from, this is the Daily Mail. Yeah. So it's Putin's deadly new terror attack. Russian missiles wipe out another Ukrainian hotel, killing at least 2 days. At least two, should be 2, days after a similar attack. Left ex-soldier. Okay, so in case you know what this is about, this is all in retaliation to the Ukrainians decided to go on the offensive into Kursk. As a military historian, I'm a military, political, and economic historian, but military is my main specialty. Invading Russia is a bad idea. Invading Russia in August is a terrible idea. And historically, what do you think has happened to armies that invade Russia? They get annihilated. They get bogged down. Napoleon suffered a catastrophic defeat in Russia. Germany did in World War II. I mean, it's invading Russia in World War I. It was a slugfest. Russia capitulated after the revolution, but it would have been another thing too. It's just invading Russia is stupid, and you did at this point in the war in Ukraine when like you have no more men to fight, and you're sending them into Russian territory. Does nobody read history? Does nobody have a historian on staff to go, listen, this bad idea? Does anybody have a history buff on staff to go, I think maybe invading Russia is a bad idea? Especially at this point in the war? What, you think you're going to, attrition is going to outlast what Putin has for you? I'm sure that the number of troops that the Russians can pull together, even if they're decimated, will still outlast whatever Zelensky's got going on. It's pretty incredible that whoever advised them to do this is an idiot. Oh, I wonder who did that. Probably his country that like funds the war and gives them weapons. Probably it was their idea. And they're all idiots. Especially the people in the current administration are idiots. And a person in the current administration is running for president. So therefore they should be associated with idiots because they are one. Either way, I just thought that was a stupid thing to do. I'm gonna call it here about an hour in. But if you could just, follow me on Twitter, Join or Die News, capital J, capital D, capital N. I'm on Getter, which is Prof, Profja Roberts is my Getter account. I'm on Parler. I'm on many video platforms, and I'm on Spotify. If you'd like to or any place you get podcasts, I think, you can, if you would just listen to me blabber on. But thank you for taking time to listen to this. If you have any questions, anything I mentioned, including any of my history work, feel free to ask. And if you want to talk to me about anything, feel free to ask. I'm open to this. I'm new to doing this type of thing. I'm about a month in, I think a little over a month in now, right? Yeah. I don't even know when I started doing this. I think it was like July, mid-July. Maybe before that, I don't know. Yeah, I think so, about a month and a half. And so I'm working on it. I'm learning the trade. I'm learning how to make the videos more enticing and how to make them more engaging and how to give you better, you know, I'm working on it. Appreciate you watching this. Just help me out, help my channel grow in any way you can. If you know anybody that may be interested in my blabbering, let me know, or send them my way. And if you would like to read my Substack articles, that is it's Join or Die is the Substack, and it's Join or Die news. It's his news, thoughts, and liberty. So that's the title of the Substack. All right, well, thank you all for watching. You have a great night. If you would like to if you would like me to talk about anything else in the future, let me know. Historical topics as well. All right, bye.